Hey everyone, Elizabeth here. The Last Laugh delivers stories that leave you speechless. If you're here for it, hit subscribe and let's go.
The cream-colored envelope arrived on a Tuesday. Expensive cardstock. My father's company logo embossed in gold. I already knew what it would say before I opened it. Marcus Chin cordially invites you to celebrate 35 years of excellence at Chin Automotive Solutions. Black tie. The Grand Meridian. Saturday, October 14th, 7 p.m. Then handwritten at the bottom in my mother's perfect script. Close family only. Your claims about your career aren't appropriate for this setting. Perhaps it's best if you don't attend. I set the invitation on my desk. The same desk where I'd signed the acquisition papers for Chin Automotive 3 years ago. The same desk where I'd approved my father's salary, his company car, his retirement package. He had no idea that the silent investor group that had saved his failing business in 2020 was actually me. My phone buzzed. A text from my sister Lauren. Mom and Dad hired a private investigator. He's presenting his findings at the party. Your lies end Saturday. Don't embarrass yourself by showing up. I didn't reply. I simply forwarded the message to my attorney Rebecca Torres with a single word, interesting. She called immediately. Maya, do you want me to intervene? No, I said calmly. Let them hire whoever they want. I have nothing to hide. You own half the city, Maya. You're on 3 Fortune 500 boards. You're literally paying their mortgage. They don't know that. And apparently they've decided they don't want to know. Rebecca sighed. The investigator they hired is Donald Reeves, former FBI. He's thorough. Very thorough. Good, I said. Thorough is exactly what this situation needs. I was supposed to be the family success story. Valedictorian. Full scholarship to MIT. Computer science degree with honors. But I made one critical mistake in my parents' eyes. I didn't come home after graduation. You're throwing away everything we built, my father had said when I told him I was staying in Boston. You belong at Chin Automotive. I've been grooming you to take over. Dad, I have a job offer at a tech startup. $85,000 starting salary. He'd laughed. Actually laughed. A startup? Maya, those fail 90% of the time. I'm offering you a real career. $45,000 to start, but you'll be vice president in 5 years. I'm taking the Boston job. The silence on the phone had been deafening. Then my mother's voice, sharp and cold. You're making a terrible mistake. Don't come crying to us when your little company goes bankrupt. That was 12 years ago. The little startup was acquired by Google for $340 million 18 months later. My shares were worth $8.2 million. I was 24 years old. I didn't tell them. What was the point? They'd made it clear. Their way or nothing. Instead, I invested. Aggressively. Real estate in Boston, Austin, Seattle. Early stakes in companies my MIT classmates were founding. An angel investment in a medical device company that went public. By 30, my portfolio was worth $87 million. By 32, I'd founded my own venture capital firm, Apex Ventures. We specialized in overlooked markets. Manufacturing automation, supply chain technology, automotive innovation. The kind of unsexy businesses that actually made money. By 35, I was managing $420 million in assets across 17 companies. And I still drove a 7-year-old Honda Civic. Lived in a modest 2-bedroom apartment in Cambridge. Wore jeans and sweaters to work. My family saw what they wanted to see. Their daughter who chose wrong and was too proud to admit it. The first time I saved my father's company, he didn't know it was me. It was March 2020. The pandemic had just started. Chin Automotive Solutions manufactured custom parts for luxury car dealerships. A business model that collapsed overnight when nobody was buying cars. My father had called desperate. Maya, I need advice. The banks won't extend our credit line. We might have to close. How much do you need? I'd asked. $2.8 million to stay operational for 6 months. But I'm not asking you for money. I know you don't have it. I didn't correct him. Instead, I called my investment team. Set up a shell corporation. Apex Industries LLC. Make an offer to acquire 60% of Chin Automotive for $3.5 million. Structure it as a silent partnership. He keeps operational control, we get equity and board representation. Maya, your father will recognize. Use our Chicago office. Have Marcus Reynolds present the offer. My father's never met him. The deal closed in 3 weeks. Chin Automotive got its lifeline. My father got to keep his company, his title, his pride. And I got 60% of the voting shares. Over the next 3 years I did it again. And again. When he needed new equipment. Silent loan, secured by additional equity. When he wanted to expand to a second location. I bought the property through a holding company and leased it to him below market rate. By October 2023, I owned 81% of Chin Automotive Solutions. My father owned 19% and still believed he was running an independent company. The house he lived in. I'd bought it when my parents faced foreclosure in 2021. Restructured it as a family trust with me as the trustee, them as beneficiaries. They paid what they thought was their mortgage. Actually a nominal fee to cover taxes and maintenance. The Grand Meridian where his retirement party would be held. I'd acquired it 6 months ago as part of a distressed property portfolio. The staff knew me as the owner. My father knew it as, that nice hotel downtown. I wasn't hiding. I was watching. Every dismissive comment. Every family dinner where Lauren bragged about her husband's law practice while they asked me nothing about my work. Every time my father said, well, some people are built for business and some aren't. I was documenting everything. Not out of spite. Out of strategy. Because I knew this moment would come eventually. The moment when their assumptions would collide with reality. I just didn't expect them to hire a private investigator to make it happen. The investigator's report was supposed to be their triumph. Lauren sent me updates all week. Not because she wanted me there, because she wanted me to know what was coming. The investigator has been following you for 30 days. He knows about your apartment, your car, your pathetic wardrobe. He documented your job at that tiny venture capital firm. Entry-level analyst, right? That's what you've been lying about. Mom and Dad spent $15,000 on this investigation. Best money they ever spent. Saturday night, everyone will finally see the truth. I responded to none of it. But Rebecca responded for me. Maya, I've pulled Donald Reeves' background. He doesn't mess around. If they hired him to investigate you, he investigated everything. Including them. What do you mean? PI ethics. When you hire someone to do a comprehensive background check on a family member, especially one you're accusing of fraud or deception, any reputable investigator examines both parties. It's standard practice. They need to verify the client's credibility. I sat back in my chair. So if he's been following me, he's been following them too. And Maya, your father's company books are a mess. I've seen the quarterly reports you receive as majority shareholder. There are discrepancies. What kind of discrepancies? The kind that look like someone's been moving money around. Small amounts. Consistent pattern. If Reeves is as good as his reputation suggests, he found them. I pulled up my files on Chin Automotive. Rebecca was right. Over the past 4 years there had been irregular transfers. $3,000 here. $7,000 there. Always categorized as consulting fees or contractor payments. Never enough to trigger automatic audits, but over time, I did the math. $210,000. Rebecca, can you find out who authorized these transfers? I don't need to. You already know. I did. Every transfer was approved by the company president. My father. Saturday morning I received the final text from Lauren. Don't show up. This is your last warning. The investigator presents at 8 p.m. Everyone will be there. All of Dad's business partners, his management team, the family. You'll be humiliated. I replied for the first time all week. I'll be there. She sent back 3 question marks. I put on the dress I'd bought for the occasion. Black, elegant, simple. The same dress I'd worn when Forbes photographed me for their Top 40 Under 40 issue. The same dress I wore when I rang the opening bell at NASDAQ. My phone rang. I spoke with Donald Reeves. You what? Professional courtesy. PI to attorney. I told him I represent you and that I understood he'd be presenting findings tonight. I asked if he'd conducted a complete investigation as ethics require. What did he say? He said, Torres, I don't deliver half-truths. If I'm presenting tonight, everyone in that room is going to hear everything I found. On all parties. I smiled for the first time all week. He knows. He knows everything, Maya. He asked me to tell you that he's a professional. His report will be factual, comprehensive, and complete. He suggested you might want to have legal representation present. Will you come? I'm already dressed. The Grand Meridian was exactly as I remembered it when I'd toured the property before purchasing. Crystal chandeliers. Marble floors. My staff had done an excellent job with the event setup. Marcus Chen's name in gold letters on the welcome board. White and gold balloon arrangements. A stage with a podium and microphone. I walked in at 7:45 p.m. The party was already in full swing. 200 guests. Business associates, family, friends. Everyone in formal attire, champagne glasses in hand. My mother saw me first. Her face went rigid. She grabbed my father's arm and whispered urgently. He turned and I watched the progression of emotions. Surprise, annoyance, anger. Lauren appeared at my elbow. What are you doing here? I told you not to come. The invitation said close family, I replied calmly. That's me. This is Dad's night. Don't ruin it with your delusions. I'm just here to celebrate his retirement. She leaned in close. The investigator is presenting in 10 minutes. Everyone will see what you really are. Fraud. An entry-level nothing who's been lying to everyone for years. If that's what the investigation shows, then that's what it shows. My father approached, flanked by my mother. Why? This is unexpected. Happy retirement, Dad. You received my note on the invitation? I did. Then you understand this might be uncomfortable for you. I understand you hired an investigator. His face hardened. We did. Your mother and I felt it was time to establish some facts. You've been making claims about your career that seemed improbable. And the investigator will present these facts tonight? At 8 o'clock. Donald Reeves, former FBI. He's been very thorough. I'm sure he has. My mother's voice was ice. Maya, it's not too late to leave. Save yourself the embarrassment. Rebecca appeared at my side, professional and commanding in her navy suit. Mr. and Mrs. Chen. Rebecca Torres, Maya's attorney. My father's eyebrows shot up. Attorney? Maya, that's a bit dramatic, don't you think? Miss Torres is here as my guest, I said simply. Lauren pulled out her phone, typing frantically. Probably alerting the family that I'd brought a lawyer. Let them wonder. At precisely 8 p.m. the lights dimmed. My father took the stage to applause. He gave a short speech about 35 years in business, thanking partners and employees. Then his expression turned serious. Before we continue the celebration, there's something important I need to address. As many of you know, family matters sometimes require clarity. I've asked Donald Reeves, a private investigator with impeccable credentials, to present some findings. Donald, a man in his late 50s, gray hair, sharp suit, walked to the podium carrying 2 manila envelopes. He had the bearing of someone who'd spent decades in law enforcement. Calm, professional, utterly unflappable. Good evening. My name is Donald Reeves. I'm a licensed private investigator, former FBI special agent, 28 years in criminal investigation. Mr. and Mrs. Chin hired me 6 weeks ago to conduct a comprehensive background investigation on their daughter, Maya Chen. 200 people turned to look at me. I stood perfectly still, Rebecca beside me. Reeves continued. My assignment was to verify or disprove claims Ms. Chin has made about her professional life. Her parents suspected fabrication or exaggeration. They wanted facts. He held up the first envelope. This is my report on Maya Chin. Per standard investigative protocol, when conducting a background check involving potential fraud or misrepresentation within a family, I also investigate the requesting parties to establish credibility and context. He held up the second envelope. This is my report on Marcus and Helen Chin. The room went silent. My father's smile froze. Let me begin with Maya Chin. Reeves opened the first envelope and pulled out a document. Subject is 36 years old. MIT graduate, computer science, summa cum laude. First employment. Datasphere Technologies, Boston, 2012. Initial salary, $85,000. My father's face was confused. That matched what I'd told him. Datasphere was acquired by Google in 2013. Subject's equity stake, $8.2 million after tax. Gasps rippled through the crowd. My mother's hand went to her throat. Reeves continued without emotion. Subject subsequently founded Apex Ventures, a venture capital firm, in 2018. Current assets under management, $420 million. Subject serves on the boards of 3 Fortune 500 companies. Subject's personal net worth, verified through tax returns and financial disclosures, $147 million. The room exploded in whispers. I watched my father's face go from confusion to shock to something I couldn't quite read. Subject owns the following properties: 17 residential units in Boston, 8 commercial properties in Austin, the Grand Meridian Hotel in this city, which is where we're standing, and a 62% stake in Meridian Property Group, valued at $28 million. My sister had gone pale. She was staring at the walls of the hotel, putting pieces together. Reeves pulled out another document. Subject is also the majority shareholder in Chin Automotive Solutions, having acquired 81% of voting shares through Apex Industries LLC between 2020 and 2023. Total investment, $12.7 million. Subject effectively owns her father's company. My father grabbed the podium. That's impossible. Apex Industries is a subsidiary of Apex Ventures, Reeves finished. Owned entirely by your daughter. The house we live in. Purchased by Maya Chin through Chin Family Trust in 2021 when you faced foreclosure. She restructured your debt, became the trustee, and allowed you to remain as beneficiaries. She's been paying your property taxes and maintenance. What you think is your mortgage payment is a nominal fee that covers utilities. My mother's champagne glass slipped from her hand, shattering on the marble floor. Reeves wasn't finished. Subject has also made anonymous charitable contributions totaling $4.2 million over the past 5 years, including a $500,000 donation to this city's children's hospital and $1.8 million to MIT Scholarship Fund. He set down the first envelope and picked up the second. Now regarding Marcus and Helen Chin. My father's voice was barely a whisper. What? As I stated, standard protocol requires investigating both parties. I examined Chin Automotive Solutions' financial records, which are partially public due to the Apex Industries investment structure. Reeves pulled out a spreadsheet. Over the past 4 years, there have been irregular wire transfers from company accounts totaling $210,000. These transfers were categorized as consulting fees, but no corresponding consulting work was documented. Number 1099 forms were filed. The transfers went to a personal account belonging to Marcus Chin. The room went dead silent. These transfers appear to constitute embezzlement from the company Mr. Chin believes he owns, but which is actually majority owned by his daughter. Additionally, Mrs. Helen Chin filed for unemployment benefits in 2020 and 2021, claiming no household income, while living in a house owned by a family trust and while her husband was receiving a $180,000 annual salary from Chin Automotive. My father's face had gone from pale to gray. He gripped the podium so hard his knuckles were white. That's fraud, someone whispered in the crowd. Reeves nodded. Potential charges include embezzlement, wire fraud, unemployment fraud, and tax evasion. I've compiled all evidence and, as required by law when discovering potential federal crimes during an investigation, I've filed a report with the appropriate authorities. My mother made a sound like a wounded animal. Marcus, tell them he's wrong. Tell them. I can't, my father whispered. The transfers. I thought. The company was mine. I thought I was entitled. Lauren pushed through the crowd. This is insane. You can't just accuse them of. Rebecca stepped forward, her voice clear and authoritative. Mr. Reeves is a licensed investigator and former federal agent. He's obligated to report evidence of federal crimes. As for the embezzlement charges, those funds were taken from a company majority owned by my client, Maya Chin. She has every right to press charges. Paya, you can't, my father said, his voice breaking. I'm your father. I finally spoke, my voice calm and steady. You hired an investigator to prove I was a fraud. He found the truth. All of it. We didn't know. You never asked. In 12 years, Dad, you never once asked about my actual job. My actual life. You assumed I'd failed because I didn't do things your way. My mother was crying now. We're your parents. How could you let us believe? I told you the truth the day I graduated MIT. You laughed at me. You called my choices a mistake. When your company was failing, I saved it. When you almost lost your house, I bought it. I've been supporting this family for years, and you never noticed because you were so convinced I was the failure. The Grand Meridian's general manager appeared at my elbow, looking uncomfortable. Miss Chin, I'm sorry to interrupt, but should we continue with the event or cancel it? I said quietly. Refund the deposits. Send everyone home. My father looked up at me, and for the first time in my life I saw him clearly. Not as the intimidating businessman. Not as the disappointed parent. Just as a man who'd made terrible choices and was finally facing the consequences. Maya, please. We can fix this. We can. You stole $210,000 from a company I own. Mom committed fraud to get unemployment benefits. You spent $15,000 on an investigator to humiliate me in front of 200 people. We didn't know it was your company. That's not a defense, Mr. Chin, Rebecca said quietly. Embezzlement is embezzlement regardless of who owns the company. Lauren grabbed my arm. You can't do this. You can't destroy them. They're our parents. I pulled my arm away. I didn't destroy them, Lauren. They destroyed themselves. I just stopped protecting them from the consequences. The party cleared out in 15 minutes. 200 guests, whispering and staring, streaming out of the Grand Meridian's ballroom. Some looked shocked. Some looked satisfied. There's always schadenfreude when the mighty fall. My father sat in a chair near the stage, his head in his hands. My mother stood beside him, mascara running, clutching her purse like a lifeline. Lauren paced furiously. This is insane. You're going to press charges? Against your own parents. I haven't decided yet, I said honestly. Donald Reeves approached me, his expression neutral. Miss Chin, I want you to know, this wasn't personal. Your parents hired me to find the truth. That's what I delivered. I understand, Mr. Reeves. You did your job thoroughly. The federal report is filed. That's out of everyone's hands now. But the embezzlement charges, those would come from you as the majority shareholder. You have options. Thank you. He nodded and left. Rebecca touched my shoulder. Maya, what do you want to do? I looked at my parents. My father, who'd spent 35 years building a business I'd saved 3 times. My mother, who'd written your claims aren't appropriate here on my party invitation. I want to go home. And them. I need time to think. My father looked up. Maya, please. Just talk to us. 5 minutes. I checked my watch. It was 8:47 p.m. 47 minutes ago, they'd been ready to humiliate me. Now they wanted 5 minutes. Hey, I said. 5 minutes. Rebecca stepped back but stayed close. Lauren stopped pacing. My father stood, visibly shaking. I don't understand. Why didn't you tell us? I tried to tell you. 12 years ago. You told me I was making a mistake. But after you became successful. Why hide it? I wasn't hiding, Dad. I was living my life. You never asked. Not once in 12 years did you ask about my actual work. You just assumed I'd failed and were satisfied with that narrative. We thought we were protecting you from embarrassment. By disinviting me from your retirement party? By hiring an investigator? By spending weeks planning to publicly humiliate me? My mother's voice was small. We thought you were lying to make yourself feel better. We thought the kindest thing was to help you face reality. The reality is I'm worth $147 million. I own your house. I own 81% of Dad's company. I've been supporting this family financially while you treated me like a charity case. The money I took. You stole, Dad. From a company you didn't own. That's embezzlement. I didn't know. You didn't ask. You saw Apex Industries on the paperwork. You never questioned it. You just took what you thought you deserved. My father slumped back into the chair. What happens now? The federal fraud investigation is out of my hands. Mr. Reeves filed his report. Whatever happens with that happens. And the embezzlement? I looked at him for a long moment. This man who'd raised me. Who taught me to work hard, to be strategic, to never give up. He taught me everything I needed to succeed, and then hated me for using those lessons differently than he'd planned. I'll have my attorneys draw up a repayment plan. You'll return the $210,000 over 5 years. If you default, I press charges. Thank you, he whispered. I'm not finished. You'll resign from Chin Automotive immediately. I'll install new management. You'll have no operational role. Why, it's my company. It's my company. It has been for 3 years. You'll receive your retirement package as planned, $80,000 annually for life. But your employment ends tonight. His face crumpled. You're taking my company. I'm protecting my investment. You've proven you can't be trusted with financial oversight. Lauren exploded. This is cruel. You're punishing them for not knowing something you deliberately hid. I turned to her. Did you know that every Christmas when you and your husband gave mom and dad expensive gifts, I was paying their mortgage? Did you know that when you bragged about your vacation to Italy, I was covering dad's business expansion? How would I? Exactly. You never asked either. You were all so comfortable in your assumptions about me that you never looked deeper. So this is revenge? This is consequences. There's a difference. I left the Grand Meridian at 9:30 p.m. Rebecca walked me to my car, the 7-year-old Honda Civic that had become a symbol of everything my family misunderstood about me. You could have pressed charges, Rebecca said. The embezzlement case is airtight. I know. So why didn't you? Because they're still my parents. And because I don't need revenge. I needed them to see the truth. Mission accomplished. I drove home to my modest apartment in Cambridge. The same apartment I'd lived in for 8 years. The same place my family had pitted every time they visited. But I didn't live there because I couldn't afford better. I lived there because it was enough. Because I'd learned early that wealth isn't about what you show people. It's about what you build when no one's watching. 4 months later, the federal investigation into my mother's unemployment fraud resulted in a settlement. She repaid $31,000 in fraudulent benefits plus penalties. No criminal charges were filed. Chin Automotive Solutions, under new management I appointed, had its most profitable quarter in company history. My father received his retirement checks on schedule. He cashed them without comment. Lauren and I spoke twice. Both times she asked if I was happy now. Both times I said the same thing. I was happy before. Nothing's changed for me. The Grand Meridian became one of my most successful properties. I kept the event coordinator who'd set up Dad's party. She never asked about that night and I appreciated her discretion. And 6 months after the retirement party I received an envelope in the mail. Cream-colored cardstock. Expensive. My father's handwriting. Inside was a single sentence. I'm sorry I never asked. I put it on my desk. Next to the MIT diploma he told me to hang in my office at Chin Automotive. The office I'd never worked in. The office that was now occupied by a CEO who actually knew what she was doing. I didn't frame the apology. I didn't respond to it. I just kept it where I could see it. A reminder that sometimes the biggest power reversal isn't about money or ownership or public vindication. Sometimes it's about the moment when someone who never saw you finally opens their eyes and realizes they've been blind all along.